Today we're going to look at some job costing. So under application settings, under job costing, I've got job costing turned on. I don't have department costing turned on. I'll do that in a different file which will show two levels of costing. This one is showing just the one level of job costing. So that job costing part there is turned on, and you can see we have a job costing icon here. And if I have a look at that, I've got a number of prepared activities, and we'll just have a look at each of them. First one being car preparation. That's its number, description, and obviously barcode. You can print these barcodes out, and then you can have a laser scanner connected to the time clock as well, so that when you're clocking, when the employees are clocking in and out, they can scan over the appropriate job, or they can enter, if they don't want to use laser scanners, you can still just enter that number in through the keypad of the clock. So the second one we have here is called smash repair, just giving it a different number. Same thing with the barcode, painting, and also job quality assurance. Okay, so you can have as many of these as you like listed. You can also have them verified at the clock, so these jobs get set up into the clock so that when they key them in, it can validate that they're correct. They're options. You don't have to have the validation turned on. It just, if they enter if they're not using the laser scanner, I'd probably recommend that they do have validation turned on. With a laser scanner, you probably don't need it. You don't need it turned on, because clearly it's going to be entering just this number to identify it. The other thing that you really need to make sure is that you're using simple clocking method. That being that the first clocking and last clocking is used for time and attendance to calculate time for payroll, and any other clockings that happen during the day, whilst from a time and attendance point of view they get ignored, from a job costing point of view they are recorded, and that's how we base how much time is spent on specific jobs. So if we look at a week where there was some jobs recorded, I'll go into the process screen. It's defaulted to the 23rd and the 29th, and here's our first week for our first employee. Now I can notice that on the Monday there's 2 clockings, then there's 3 clockings, Wednesday has 3, Thursday has 4, and so on. Okay, from a time and attendance point of view, we still just look at the first and last clocking in all of these examples, and all the rules and things are done. But as far as job costing, all those other clockings in between will be included in the reporting. So if we just look at the first day, we can see here that it's clocked in at 6:30 in the morning, and at the same time has clocked into that particular job. And then when they've clocked out at 16:01, there's no job recorded at all. That effectively clocks them out of the job. Let's look at that one. So here we see at 7:01 it's clocked into car prep as well. Then at 13:24 he hasn't clocked out of 101, but he's just clocked directly back onto the next one called smash repair. And that's fine, you don't need to clock out of one job. You can just clock onto the next job and it'll take it as a clock out. Next one here, same thing. Clocked in at 7:03, then it's clocked onto a job at 7:10 into this one. Thursday, gone from painting back to job quality assurance at different times. Friday will be much the same, one job. And on the Saturday, same thing again. Notice this data hasn't been posted, so from a time and attendance point of view it's still yet to be authorised, but the data for job costing is worked directly on the clockings itself, so the data doesn't need to be posted for the job costing reports to work. So if we click to the next employee, actually have got one day here that's authorised. It was a sick day, but the same thing applies. There will be clockings on each of these days with various different jobs that were assigned. So that's how the data is displayed back within the processing screen when there is job costing information on it. We can also go to the reports, and from a job costing summary detail, print out labels and so forth. So we'll look at the summary. I'm going to default it to all jobs, or I could specify a particular job, but I'll just leave it at all at the moment. And I'll just change our start date to be the 23rd, I think it was, through to the 29th to make sure we cover the same period of time. And I'll run that report, and you can see here now all jobs, when it was run, what period it's run for. It's a summary report, and the job being car prep 101, an employee name when they worked on it, and the total number of hours, and a total number of hours here that went into that particular job across these employees. Similarly the next one listed, and so forth, with a grand total. Now keep in mind this is a summary clocking report, job costing report. So I'll just do the detail. All the dates stay the same. Now we go to a bit more detail where we have obviously still the job, the employee, what date, and between clocking periods and the time that was spent on each one, with still a subtotal of that whole job over that period, but broken down on each employee and the amount of hours that went from each employee and so forth for all of the jobs, and still coming up with your grand total. It being in detailed. Job costing labels. We could print out some labels, so I'll just do that and do immediate run. Okay, and we can see here that's now opened up a file that we can directly print that, and that's the barcodes for the individual jobs. Okay, and from a job costing point of view, there are our reports. The one other one will be a detailed clocking on, report on including all your clockings in June, including job costing. Let's have a quick look at that one. And you can see now that this shows you the clockings that's happened for each individual employee, but also gives you an audit, not in any other order, of what job they were working on from a time point of view for that period in the week. So from there you could audit that they should or shouldn't have been working on that particular job at that particular time, as opposed to how much time was spent in each of the jobs across each employee. And that's a quick look at our job costing in a simple mode where you only have job costing active. As I say, there'll be another one here for the multi-leveled job costing that will do departments as well.